Congratulations to Coach and his girls. We were watching the selection show on the bus on the way in last night. So again, it's always, I think, an honor and a privilege when you see that name of the university come up on a national scale. Us this weekend played good in game one, pitched well, played good defense, hit. Game two, we pitched well. Our starting pitcher, Hogan, threw another good, consistent outing for us. We let the game get away on us in the seventh. We had some base running mistakes throughout the game where we left some runs, I think, on base that could have helped us. Got to do a better job there. Going into Sunday, got off to a good start. Pushed them, could have broke the game open the first inning. Didn't do that. And then pitching along the way, they came back. That ballpark, with that wind blowing out, you can score some runs quick if you get out of your lanes. And they got some balls up and got them out of the ballpark on us. And were able to fight back and get back ahead of us. We went cold hitting-wise after the second inning, but then, made a push at the end. Had the bases loaded at the end, had an opportunity there, but just didn't get it done. So come back 1-2. So now what we got to do is, again, whether we came back 2-1 or swept them, either way, you got to put the week in away and move forward. Today they'll get a day off. Tomorrow we'll got Tulane. Their series this weekend is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, like ours too. So ours has been moved up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday because of the conference tournament behind it. So our starters will, have one less day of rest. So we've got to get through tomorrow night's game. We'll probably have to bullpen that, and then from there have a light workout on Wednesday, and then get ready for the final weekend series against Monroe on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So questions that you might have.
How much of the upper league is it to finish the season at home and then conference tournament at home next weekend?
That's been good because our travel this year has been pretty tough. I think we played the 6th or the 7th strongest schedule in the country. So we've had some wear and tear on us. We've had some travel. And I like the natural rivals at the end of the year like that, being able to stay close and play. Even when we're on the road to finish the weekend, you're only right there in Monroe, next year. So I like that to finish right here. So we get the Tuesday game here, we get the weekend series here, and then we get the conference tournament here. So I think that's going to be good for our guys since we had a lot of travel this year.
With the way that this season started, being a half game ahead in the division with 3 games left to go, is there anything more that you could ask for?
Well, no. I mean, they halfway they could have packed it in. They've been through so much, so many injuries, and so many key players down, and having to shuffle this and shuffle that, and guys playing injured, a catcher that's catching every inning. They've been under a lot of duress, and I'm proud of them. They could have quit. I think I don't know what Jeff 16 and what in the second half. 17-7 in the second half. So again, they could have packed it in a long time ago. They didn't. They still have a lot in front of them. They're right there on the west side ahead. We do have 3 to go. We've got a game against Tulane to go. That would be another good win, a state win against a state team, and then on into the weekend against Monroe, and then trying to line ourselves up for the conference tournament. They still have a chance to get to a regional. Will it be easy? Never is. But yes, I'm not proud of where we are in the sense of, we need to be better than where we are. But having started the first half with all the injuries and everything, I'm just proud that they didn't pack it in and blame everything on injuries and got together. I think these 6 seniors have done an excellent job in not letting guys just wither away. When they were told Gunner was going to redshirt, then they were told Hansom's going to redshirt, and then Hansom's injured, and then Cole's got to catch every game because the third catcher's injured, and the arms that we've had to redshirt, the people that we've had to redshirt that were injured coming out of the fall, and then we lose Armstrong along the way. So they've been through a lot. Hogan was out for 6.5, 7 weeks. So I'm just proud of them that they didn't quit, and they kept fighting, and they've got themselves in a good position. They got some things ahead of them that they in total control over. They don't have to sit around and hope something else happens around the league. If they can stay focused and continue to do the things we got to do. We have to win in one certain way. There's a couple teams in our league that are more physical than us. They can get behind. They can maybe play a little sloppy and overcome it at the plate. We can't overcome all that at the plate most of the time. So we have to make sure we get back on continuing to pitch. Demo's been throwing really well. I think he's got like a 1-point ERA in his last 8, 9, 10 outings. So that's we're going to need that. And just keep doing the things that we've done in the second half. Get back to pitching, keeping the score down, and playing good defense. We had a couple critical double plays that we should have turned in the 2 losses that extended an inning, which got to a 3-run home run, which would have never happened if we'd have got off the field. We got to get back to making sure that what's kept us in this second half is being able to pitch and keep the score down, and our defense being the best defense in the league. That's the one thing that's helped us. You let this defense get away from us, I don't think we would have a chance in the second half. I think our defense has been really good. So if we can, get back to doing those 3 things, we have to play that away to be successful.
Is there anything intangibly, obviously you talked about the pitching and the defense and getting the time of hits, but is there anything intangibly you want to see from your team in the final week of the season to be ready for the Sun Belt tournament?
Well, I think just getting back to being consistent at what we do to have to win. You don't like, first of all, you don't like being inconsistent in this business anyway, but you don't want to get inconsistent at the things you've got to be consistent at. Our base running needs to get better. We had some innings that we could have stayed in on Saturday and Sunday, which would have, I think, tacked on more runs. We had a safety squeeze that we botched. We didn't pitch against the 3-run inning in Game 2's loss or Game 3's loss. So those are all the things that we have to do to be successful. We got to pitch against the 3-run inning, and then we've got to learn how to stay in innings to get the 3-run inning. And then we have to do little things. We got to be able to bunt. We got to be able to move runners. Got to be able to do those little things because we don't hit a lot of home runs. This ballpark for the conference tournament this weekend in Monroe, it normally, it's not that you can't hit the ball out of it, but there are some other ballparks around the league that the ball travels really better than in here. So because we're already not a team that hits with a lot of power, we've got to make sure the short game's right. We got to stay in innings. We can't give people outs on the bases, and then we've got to pitch. We just have to pitch. We have to pitch away from the 3-run inning. You got to do that anyway, but we need to do that more than ever just because we're not a team that can play a lot of people, 10 or 11 or 12 to 10. We've really got to work to keep the score down. Our hitters have done a good job in the second half. They swung the bat well enough to win this weekend. I just think this weekend, if we turn 2 double plays and pitch against the 3-run inning, and don't leave some extra runs on the board. We have a base running mistake, and then we hit a double where run scores, but 2 runs would have scored. The safety squeeze that we didn't execute, that's another run. So we had a couple situations where we left some runs out there, and we've got to be opportunistic. We cannot leave runs out on the field. They're premium, and then we've been tacking on good. But Sunday we didn't do that. We scored early. They gave us a lot early. They walked the bases loaded on us. We didn't get a hit. They walked the run in without a hit, and then we got 3 hits after that. But then we had a chance to really run them right there out of the ballpark, and we didn't do it. Their pitchers switched on us, and then they started scoring on us. And so we've got to do a better job there. We can have a chance to break games open. We got to get them broken open, and then we got to, again, pitch against the 3-run inning.
And how would you assess the intensity of the rivalry now between you and ULM? Just how it's evolved and where you think it is now.
Well, I think anytime you play state schools, because you all know each other a lot, I think that's what creates a lot of rivalries. Everybody knows each other, and so you have a little bit of a pride factor in there. Um, I know they're going to come in wanting to win because, again, it's a state school. We know each other, and then they're well coached. Their coach is trying to get rid of a culture there. He's trying. I like him. I respect him. And I think he's a good coach, and he's going to change the culture there. That's what he's trying to do. So for us, we never really look at records of people because there's two sides of every look. Coastal Carolina, if you look at them, well, then maybe you shouldn't beat them because of all their record. Then you look at somebody else's record. If it doesn't look good, then you start to think that you should beat them. So no matter whether somebody's playing good or bad, we never really lean on somebody else's records. What we try to lean on is really what we're doing, and we have to do some things better than we did on Saturday and Sunday for us to be successful.
What do you need to do to win a bullpen type game against Tulane this week? What's the challenge of just winning a game like that?
Well, I think the big thing is whatever innings you're throwing. If you're going to come work an inning or 2 innings, handle up on the inning. I'm sure he's got the same issues. He plays Thursday, Friday, Saturday himself. So when you get caught in these midweek games like this late, what you want to try to do is you want to try to get whoever goes in to get their work done, have some good tempo, some rhythm, and pitch good. Don't give people free stuff because usually on Tuesdays, your position players are a little tired. You just came off a 3-game series, potentially on the road like us. 90, 95-degree heat. Heat's going to play a factor now. You want to learn as position players, as hitters, to leave their pitcher on the field as long as you can in the heat. And then you want to try to get yours off the field. When you kick a double play, your pitcher has to stay out in the heat longer, and you start to suck energy out of him. So with this heat, it's important to learn how to run the bases properly and stay in innings and keep pitchers in duress in that heat. So that's the one thing we got to do a good job of now because it's going to be about the heat. So on Tuesdays, I always find if your pitchers can come out with some kind of rhythm and tempo and help your position players because they're coming off a long 3-game series. The last thing you want to do is come out and start walking people and putting them under even more duress when they've come off a lot of duress over the weekend where a lot of energy has been taken from them. You need a guy in the middle of the week that can get the game off to a good start, get some relievers, hopefully to come in and just play good, clean baseball, not try to take too much energy of life out of your position players.
With the way that this team has had to play in the second half, as Jeff mentioned, going 17-7, maybe some teams under the pressure of trying to pull out a division win or conference win or conference championship, they would fold. But this team has kind of been in playoff mode for a while now. Do you think that's an advantage to you going into such pivotal games this weekend?
Well, I think the big thing that's been good in the second half, the first half, I think they came out and they tried to win. I think they got on results. And then I think in the second half they got off of results. They relented and got back on the process. And instead of trying to win, started to compete. That's ultimately, we got to do a better job of that next year and being able to, start out that way. We did have a lot of stuff to overcome early. But no, I think they've done just a great job in the second half of understanding what they have to do to be successful. They've done it. And I think internally the team's done a good job. Once we settled in on a lineup and started going in that direction, a couple other guys got less playing time. And, I think they understand I'd rather play a small part of something big instead of trying to play a big part of something small. And they stayed together internally. So I think they're in a good position. They've been able to bounce pretty good all year back from when they've had a setback. which we'll need to because we had 2 setbacks coming out of this weekend. And they've also done a good job of learning from setbacks. Okay, we didn't stay in innings long enough, so now we got to learn how to stay in innings longer. The value of pitching against a 3-run inning, the value of turning that double play so that 3-hole, 4-hole hitter has to lead off the inning next inning and maybe hits a solo jack instead of a 3-run jack. So I think they've done a good job of understanding what they have to do. Now it's a matter, I think, of the ends coming, for a lot of teams. So I think now you get into this next mindset of, how bad do you want to keep playing? That's what this is going to come down to. The heat changes a lot of things because it'll make you question yourself out there in 90-degree, 95-degree heat. So you got to really, really want this because it's coming down to crunch time. You're also getting to a point where, you're going to flip from trying to be in a marathon to pretty soon being in a sprint. So that's going to kind of change when you hit the conference tournament. Everybody goes back to 0-0 in the conference tournament, so everybody's happy again. So there's a lot of things you've got to handle in a long season. But up until this point, I like what they've done in the second half, and now what we've got to do is just try to have a good, strong finish in these next 4.
With so much, so much success recently against ULM, is it nice to have something on the line that they're not concentrating maybe on, the last time you lost to them compared to, looking forward and trying to get that second seed?
Well, what I always like at the end is trying to finish with somebody that's still playing for something. I'd rather that than having to play somebody that just, can go out there and just freely just don't care what happens. Their coach is trying to change the culture there. He's trying to win. They want to win. So I think they'll be playing for something, which is good. On the other hand, long-term success against people, I don't even know if our kids – today's athletes spend enough time doing any research. They're so over a loss by the time they get onto the bus and beyond stuff. It's kind of the coaches sometimes that we got to get over stuff because we take longer to get over stuff than they do. Once they take their cleats off and put their tennis shoes on and walk to the bus, they're done. They can get rid of something very quick. It's us that sometimes can let things linger. But again, you've heard me say this before. It's more about us than anything. Texas State didn't do anything to us that we couldn't have handled. We just mishandled some things. So what we've got to do is whatever Monroe decides to do, we got to handle it and overcome it.
It's always around this time of year, but who are the biggest concerns draft-wise? Is Hogan the biggest, and how are they handling that at this time?
All of them are handling that really well. We normally have our scout meetings on Mondays because it's their day off from school. Of course, school's ended now, but we try to keep them on Mondays because the higher the profile draft, like Hogan or like LaCroix when we had him here, there's a lot of meetings. So scouts have done well. They've worked with us. We don't let them be approached when we're on the road. From Thursday to Sunday, they're off limits. And again, the scouts have done a good job. Each player handles some of this differently. Back from Danny Farquhar and Kevin Ordwin, I've had some juniors that, have handled it well. Then I've had some that kind of struggled with it a little bit, because they start to get worried a little bit. Our guys have handled it very well. The guys I think that are going to potentially be drafted will be Hogan, Nick Lee, Stokey, and Schmidt. Those are the guys that'll be drafted. 2 of those are seniors, so we know we're losing them. The other 2 are juniors. But we're prepared for that. We understand that in our development with pitchers that we're going to lose junior pitchers. But they've all handled it really well. We'll see what each one of them will do. Each one of them doesn't really know what's going to happen until the trigger's finally pulled. And then in the negotiation process of seeing what the signing bonus is, the round that they went in, and then what they want to do as a family. We never get involved in that too heavily. To me, that's a personal thing. That's up to them. It's my job to develop the pitchers that come here, all our players that come here, but being that I'm with the pitchers a lot more, they draft more pitchers than they do anything. So more arms are going to be draftable than position players. So we'll see. We're pulling for all of them. It's a chance that they've worked on since they were 5 or 6 years old, and they've all really handled our rules. We have pretty strict rules. When they're contacted by somebody, they have to aware a coach within 24 hours that they've been contacted. We make sure that the meetings are on Mondays. We make sure that their focus is on their team, and it's a double-edged sword. You've got to have them meet with their clubs. You can't hold that off on them. We also don't want to hurt their chances of getting drafted either. They've worked a long time to get drafted. And then we also put in a disclaimer that if we feel that, we see things that, the team's not first, then, you're going to be benched or you'll be suspended. Because 90% of the guys out there won't get drafted. It's not about the 1 or 2 that are going to get drafted. It's about your team. You need to take care of your team. So we've been very fortunate, have never had to do that. And that's a credit to our guys, understanding the team concept and making sure that they keep their business in-house. Like we have 1 or 2 teams here today that'll be meeting with those 4 guys. So we keep them on Mondays, and the scouts have done a really good job of understanding on the professional relationship between getting what they need from the kid, but yet not bothering the kid. We had one scout that fully understood. He wanted to try to meet with him while we were in San Marcos, and we said no, and so he's had to drive from Houston today to be able to meet with him and back to Houston. So he understood, and we told him we appreciated that our players cannot have any missed work or time because of scout meetings. Like today, 2 of them are lifting at 1, and the scout has to wait till 2 o'clock before he can meet with them, because never are they allowed to adjust study hall, their studies, school, their workout with the team to adjust for a scout. And the scouts have been very good. He understood, and he's in today meeting with them. So it's all been good, but those are the 4 guys that I think they'll be drafted, Hogan, of course, being the highest.
And are you on board with the conference tournament being in the same place for 5 years in a row, or how do you feel about it not being spread around in the future?
You mean at a neutral site?
Yeah.
I'm okay for that. I think the coaches, we voted unanimously for that. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm okay with it. We do like having it here. We did make an $18 million investment into our facility. But the one good thing about it is that where you're going every year. You can get there for us selfishly. That's a good place for us to get to. We don't like getting off the road and trying to get on a plane heading out for the conference tournament again, or deadheading the bus all the way there and flying in and busing back, and all the decisions you got to try to make when you're in a conference tournament. Because if you fly, you got to get there by Monday. If you get dumped early, you got to hang around for a flight on Sunday. Or try to move up a flight to get 45 people onto a flight early, or you deadhead your bus all the way there, fly in, and then you can depart whenever you want to depart, So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the conference tournament, trying to figure out logistics and having it right here. I think it's a good thing. If the city welcomes it and the fans welcome it, kind of like the SEC tournament. If you look around, a lot of conferences are at neutral sites. They are. you got the pressure of bidding 5 years in advance, and then say you have a very young team that year and you have a tough year, you can get caught with hosting the conference tournament and you're not in it, which is not a good thing. And then you have, you know, the being at home in your own bed is really a good thing. But I was for it, and all the coaches were for it. I think it's a good thing, and we'll start it and get going. And just like anything, we as coaches meet every other year face to face in the Sun Belt, and we've always been good at being able to look at each other and saying, hey, you know, what's in the best interest of this conference? And if something's not going good, everybody's pretty much unanimously will vote to try to fix whatever's broken to keep our conference good, which is nice. There's not a whole lot of trouble in our conference. All the coaches pretty much vote for what's in the best interest of the conference as compared to what's always in the best interest of just your team or your program.
Have you had a chance to talk to Danny since he's been released? Have you had a chance to talk to Danny Farquhar?
No, he's texted me. I had sent him a couple texts right, of course, when it happened, and then continued through that. And then as soon as he got released, he started answering the texts. So, but he's doing good. And again, we're just continuing to hope and pray for him. And his neurologist believes that, you know, he'll pitch again next year. So that's a phenomenal thing. He's very fortunate that hospital was 5 minutes away from that dugout when he collapsed. And I was just hoping and praying that he could continue to be a father of those 3 children and a good husband. And the neurologist thinks he'll pitch again. So I'm sure Danny has his perspective, you know, his priorities in line. I think he's looking at the pitching again as a bonus for sure.
Giving up a base hit on 0-2, not that bad anymore?
I don't think a sore hamstring's going to bother him anymore. No, not after you overcome what he had to overcome.